Hey guys, welcome to Table Talk Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day. I'm having an okay day, but my day is just kind of getting rolling. Work tonight, so I haven't done a whole lot of anything other than take the kids to school, feed the farm, take care of the plants, so to speak. The farm being the dog and the fish. Today, I want to talk about college. First, I'm going to tell a story that I heard though, because I really like telling you guys stories. Uh, but the college thing is going to be kind of based on something I put on Facebook that started for better lack of words, a debate um, on subjects. Sorry, my alley is right outside here, and there's always something going up and down it, and I like to watch. But anyhow, the story that I heard it came from the Moth Radio Hour, and if you've never heard of the Moth Radio Hour, you can find it on your local public broadcasting system, PBS, on the radio. Ours here in Central Ohio, for the most part, is WOSU's public radio, but almost every state has their own public radio station. But anyhow, it's called the Moth Radio Hour. You can also find them online. Just get on Google or whatever your search engine is and type in Moth Radio Hour. It'll pop up. And it's real people telling unscripted stories about something that happened in their life. And all of them have kind of a moral or, a reason behind it. It's a story with a life lesson learned for the most part. Sometimes sad, sometimes happy, sometimes informative. But this one was happy and kind of sad all at the same time. And it was about a woman who, back in 2017, when she told the story, at the time was 81 years old, and she is a mystery book writer who lives in northeastern United States, and she'd written like 11 books, and but back in her college days, when she first went to college, she went to study marine geology in Ohio, and they shipped her off as to work in a lab that was in San Diego. It was San Diego or San Francisco, one of the two, to separate and study plankton. I knew plankton exists. I know that there's people that study it. Obviously, I did not know there was a thing of separating them. I didn't know there was different species of plankton. But there is. Anyhow, when she first got out there were a group of guys working at her lab who liked to pick on her, pull practical jokes, like they nailed her drawers shut on her desk. But then there was an older gentleman, now by older, he was 28, who kind of befriended her, protected her from the other guys, and they would write notes to each other in a secret code. Well, they both graduate. She goes back to the northeastern United States. He stays in California. And ends up becoming a dentist because that's what he actually went to school for before he got the job sorting plankton. And they don't talk for like 60 years. Well, she says one day, his name popped into her head, and she briefly thought, wonder what he did with his life, and kind of moved on about her day, didn't give it a second thought. And then 2 weeks later, a package shows up on her doorstep, and it's got his name on it, and the return address is longitude, longitude and latitude. Why I found that so funny, I have no idea, but it led to more shenanigans in their relationship. Good shenanigans though. So over a 5-year period, they correspond through writing letters, things like that. Well, they learn a lot about each other, what they missed in the 60 years. And he says, you need to come visit me. And she really wants to, but she's hesitant. She was married, to a man for, 20 years who was very abusive. And then for decades afterwards, and I'm assuming until he died, being an older man, or her husband, I'm assuming was an older man. But after decades, he stalked her and harassed her. Was not a good thing. But he did that for decades. Like I said, I'm assuming he passed away and that's why it stopped. So she really wasn't in the dating scene, or wanting to date. She was scared. She was nervous, but she decides that she's going to go anyhow. So she goes, she visits. Long story short, they end up getting married. And although their marriage wasn't a lifetime marriage, he passed on when he was 90, 91, or I'm sorry, 98 years old. He was 90 when they, no, that's not right. But anyhow, he passes away a short time later, dies in her arms, which was really sad. I mean, but she said the one thing that she loved more than anything about him was his kindness and how he showed her that it's okay to open up still and love even at a later time in life. And I thought that was amazing. It just goes to show that being kind, and doing unto others as you would do unto them, as you would have them do unto you, changes a life. It can change a world. It can change so many things. That's what I took from this. The story was beautiful. I highly recommend you look it up. And I'm doing it no justice by telling you this, or telling it to you this way. But the point, the story I took, the moral I took away from it is to do unto others like you would have them do unto you, and that kindness can trump anything. It changed her outlook on life for the better. Doesn't matter the age. And she could pass that on. She passed it on to us. She made us, the people who were listening, think, oh my gosh, it's possible. So his one good deed by her announcing it, now the whole world knows, and it puts a different perspective on our lives. So, that being said, beautiful story. I encourage you to go and listen to it on the Moth Radio Hour, or any of their stories. They're all great. But the main thing I wanted to talk about today, like I said, is college. If you guys ever have any ideas about things to talk about, just leave it in the comments or message me on Facebook. If you can find me on Facebook, it's Brian's Aquatics, with ideas, and I'll talk about them, or we can talk about them in private, or whatever. But if there's something you'd like me to research and talk about, let me know. If not, like I said, I'm just going to keep talking about things I want to talk about. So college. What started this, my thought process on this was a thing I had reposted on Facebook that made reference to forgiveness of loans for people who went to college to help lighten the burden of debt on our society. So there were three frames of thought that I saw happening on this post. And there were some rather heated debates with these thoughts. The first thought to pop up was, that's my hard-earned tax money, and, going to college is a privilege. You don't need it to survive, so you should have to pay it back. I don't completely disagree with that. Completely. The second thought was, which is where I fall into because I have college debt still, was, hell yeah, let's pay it off. And depending on whose plan you look at, in my case, I'll either get part of it paid off or I'll get all of it paid off. So I'm kind of for that. Now, I'm not against paying it back if I have to, whatever. I went to school. I racked up a bill. I should pay it back. But if I don't have to, great. And the third thought was, well, I already paid off my student loans. What about me? Okay, well, congratulations. I am proud that you paid off your student loans. For real, I'm not being a smartass. That's a great accomplishment. It's very hard to do. But putting this bill into play will leave you out. In my opinion, it's just going to leave you out. It's no different than, in the business world, there are many rules in any business. And unfortunately, whether it's by design or just human nature, not all rules get enforced equally. They kind of come in waves. It could be keep your shirt tucked in one day. The next day it might be you're late for work, and we focus on that for a while, and then we focus on something else for a while and kind of let that go to the wayside. But anyhow, so it'd be like, okay, if I call a meeting and everybody shows up and I say, hey, starting tomorrow, If you're late, it's going to be documented. If you're late so many times, you're probably going to lose your job. I mean, that's a standard thing in most companies. You get written up 3 times, and chances are you're not going to get a fourth. And then the very next day, Sally shows up 10 minutes late. She's late all the time, never without a reason. Just likes to come in late. Feels like she can do what she wants. And you go, hey, Sally, you were late. Here's your documentation. Sign this. Well, that's not fair. Tom was late 2 days ago. Okay, well, if you recall yesterday, we announced that if you were late from that point on, you were going to be documented. You got to start somewhere. Okay? So, I mean, yeah, congratulations to Tom for being late the day before, but that's life. Sally, you're going to have to get written up. Same principle with student loans. If you paid them off, that's fantastic, and I am truly proud of you because that's a great accomplishment. But you can't go back and pay everybody's student loans back that they paid off. We would bankrupt the country. That's just the end of the discussion right there, in my opinion. So, like I said, as far as paying them off, or forgiving us, they're not paying them off, they're just forgiving us. Fantastic. Like I said, I'm all for that. I have student debt. But it led me to a bigger question. What is the process of college at what point in your life do you go to college that debt is easy to pay off? Now, I've thought about this, and it took me a couple tries in the thought process to figure this out. Okay, so looking online, the average cost of college is $34,500. That's for a 4-year degree in college. And I can tell you, because I went to college, that's pretty close to accurate. I went to a community college, and I got an associate's degree. And it should have been a 2-year degree, but because I'm grown and got kids and a job, it took me a little longer. It took me 3 years. But that's about the right price. All right, maybe a little less for the community college, but not by much. But we're going to say 4-year degree, you're getting a bachelor's degree, 4 years, costs us $34,500. Now, that is if you take it all out on student loans, your payments back will be $360 a month for 10 years. Now, there are some degrees. Like I have a friend who's $130,000 in debt, and it's going to take her 21 years to pay that back. Bigger loan, longer debt. That's just kind of the way it works. But your standard 4-year, from what I could see, was $34,500, $360 a month for 10 years. So how do you pay that back? Okay. Because most kids, when they graduate college, are 22 years old. Oh, I got a job in whatever state that's going to pay me. First of all, let's talk about pay. Usually when you graduate college, even with a degree, you're not making a 6-figure income. So that being said, you got a job out of state. You're starting out your new career with this company, and you've moved, and you get paid $36,000 a year your first year. That's not unheard of. That's about a teacher's wage, realistically. Starting wage. My sister, when she became a teacher, actually made way less than that as a teacher. Still had to pay her bills. But we're going to say $36,000 for shits and giggles on your first year. So, you move out of state. Let's talk about what everything's going to cost you. You need a place to live. So let's talk rent. All right. Rent is $1,000 a month on average, and that's not even a high-end apartment, and definitely not renting a house and, at all. But that's a nice average apartment, potentially be a small house, but highly unlikely. At least even in this small town I live in now, to rent a house is right around $1,200 to $1,300. But okay, so you got that. You're going to need a car, at least a reliable form of transportation to get you where you need to go into and from your new job. So we're going to say about $300 a month in a car payment. You don't really have a big deposit because you're starting out in life, or down payment on your car. So Average car payment's right around $300 a month anyhow. Your utilities, which includes your internet, cable if you want it, phone, electric and gas, right around $400. Insurance for your car and renter's insurance on your apartment or house or whatever you're renting, around $125. So groceries on the low end, $200 a month. That's just for you. That's $50 a week in groceries, and you can do a lot of damage on $50 a week for groceries. Gas and holding back for maintenance and repairs on your vehicle, $150 a month. And that's conservative. You're not really running any place else. So your total with all that, plus your student loan payment, is $2,535 a month. Now, your job that's paying you $36,000, $37,000 a year is only paying you about $600 a week take home on the high end. $600 a week take home. I know this because I make more than that, and that's about what I bring home a week. I don't bring home much more than that a week. So conservatively, you will say $600 a week. That's $2,400 a month. So you haven't even met your thing. So you'll have to tweak a little, but we're going to say for all purposes, your take home is $2,600 a month. Okay. And that's a good take home. That means you're claiming something as a dependent, you're on your taxes, and your insurance would be a little lower because it's just you. So from your health insurance off your taxes or off your check. So we'll say you're taking home about $2,600 a month. You're paying out $2,535. You've got $65 a month to go have fun with, all right, or about $17 a day ish. That's not much, but you're willing to sacrifice it through. Now you could go get a roommate, and they would pay half the rent and half the utilities, which would save you about $650 a month, $700 a month. If they were to take on half this responsibility that I have written down here, which is why I keep looking down because I have a list. And that would help. Problem with that is if you don't know your roommate, it's not really a friend of yours, that could be trouble. And at the same time, I've seen best friends become worst enemies by being roommates. So that's kind of a tricky situation. Now, will it always be that way? Maybe not. I mean, you get pay raises every year. I mean, me and Chris get pay raises every year, and yet every year something goes up in price. Whether it's our rent, utilities, grocery bill, whatever. The only consistent is our car payment, and it'll be yours too. And at the moment, we don't have one, which is nice. But let's say, so you can't really rely on pay raises so much unless they're extravagant pay raises like promotions. Which is always feasible, but you can't rely on that. So you don't get a roommate, you sacrifice it for a couple of years, you may have to rob Peter to pay Paul a little, but you make ends meet, or you do get a roommate for a couple of years. Well, then you meet somebody. Let's say you meet, your future significant other. You date, you go to McDonald's on occasion, you go for walks in the park because that's really all you can afford to do, or you sit at your house or their house and watch movies on Netflix or whatever. And then you decide to get married. You get married. All right. You either move in there or they either move in with you, and life gets a little better because now you've got two solid incomes. Everybody's sharing in all the bills instead of just a couple of the bills. So things are a little better, and then you decide, say, a year after that, so now we're 4 years into your 10-year loan, that you're going to have a baby, or you have a baby, whether you planned it or not, you have a baby. Well, so now you have to take your one-bedroom apartment, you have to go get a bigger apartment, which costs you a little more money. That's okay. I mean, you can handle it a little bit. By now you're making okay money, still not hitting that six-figure income, but you're not quite comfortable, but you're not quite to the point where you can get your washer fixed if it breaks, but you've got $200-$300 in the bank at all times. Well, then when the baby comes, you pretty much eliminate that $200-$300 extra you have in the bank. I remember seeing on a billboard at one time that The average cost of raising a child per month is right around a little over $600 a month. And I'm here to tell you that's on the conservative side. But that's $600 a month. So now you've got all of that you're paying plus $600 a month. So you're not really getting anywhere. Now, and keep in mind that according to most fiscal people in the government, you want to try to have a year's worth of bills and bill money, rent, utility money set back, on top of all this. So that's not really going to work. That's definitely not going to happen. More than likely, not going to happen. But you will find a way to make that work, but you're back to robbing Peter to pay Paul again in order to make ends meet. So, which has led us into the situation like we're in. Like I said, I have student loans. They're currently in forbearance because they're not being charged interest, and that's good until this September coming up. If you don't know what forbearance is, it's the government letting you not pay your student loans for a certain amount of time. Let's say emergency came up, you can't make your student loans for like the next 3 months or so, 3 to 6 months. You apply to put them in forbearance, and then you don't have to pay it. Now, the interest keeps growing. At the moment, with the pandemic and all the chaos that's going on in the world, you don't even have to pay interest until September 2021. So that's a plus positive. It puts it on hold. It just delays the inevitable at the moment because I'm still going to have to keep paying on my loans. But it gives me room to breathe. So under normal circumstances, you can put it in forbearance. They still charge you interest. So that means your loan is still increasing. You're going to have to pay it off even longer. Your payments go up. So that's a last minute option. But, when I went into college at 40, I didn't have an option to just pay as I go, because that's always another option. Pay for the classes as you go to class, as you go to school. And if you can afford to do that, that's fantastic. In my case, I was 40 years old when I decided to make a career change and try to start my own business. I needed to get an education to do it. I went and got my education. I had to live off of my student loans, because the way they do student loans is they'll say, you get X amount of dollars per quarter. Part of that goes towards your classes, the payment of your classes, and the remaining balance of it goes, you buy your books with, or any school supplies you may need. I bought a laptop with them my first year in school, and the rest of it you use to kind of live off of. So I sat it back. I kept the money that was in my overage to help supplement my income, because I had to drop down to part-time and really part-time in order to take my classes. So that way, because bills don't stop when you're an adult and you decide to go back to school. The bills don't stop. They still come. Still got to pay the gas, the electric, still got to pay rent, still got to pay the car payment. All that's still got to be paid. You just got to figure out how to make it work. So that is an option to make it work. That was the only option we had. So it stuck us in debt. Like I said, the other option is to try to have the ability to pay as you go, pay for each class as you take it. Then you don't have to worry about any debt at all at the end. But that's what you can get into quick, fast, and in a hurry. And what gets you, especially when you're young, well, it's not even when you're young, because like I said, I was 40 when I went to school. They mesmerize you. The society mesmerizes you on almost everything. Want to buy a house? You don't see what's wrong with it, really. Even though you had it inspected, you just know you want that house. And you just sign that piece of paper saying you want the loan. That got us in trouble in 2008 because the banks were giving balloon loans where it was a nice low price for 3 years, and that skyrocketed through the roof and tripled in payment. After that 3-year period, people couldn't afford to buy their houses. People getting foreclosed on. All of a sudden, boom, the economy crashed. So, people get starry-eyed easy. That's a natural fact. And what happens with colleges is they kind of set you up for failure. When you're younger, you're watching movies about college, and it's parties, and it's, life lessons, but you don't really see the finance or the homework part of it. The colleges themselves set you up that way. They want you to see the fun that you're going to have in school and the social activities you can be involved in. They don't really, in their pamphlets there in the counseling center, don't really tell you about, hey, it's going to cost you this much money if you do it this way, this much money if you do it this way. They're trying to get you in the door. Car salesmen do the same thing. They tell you about the bells and the whistles, and the fun you're going to have and the gas mileage you're going to get, and you don't really talk about the payment, and all of a sudden it's okay and you're just signing whatever. So it's not an uncommon, it's a pitch. That's all it is. They're giving you their best sales pitch and you're liking it. So you sign up, and it's not till after the fact. If you're younger, you may not understand it. Your parents may never have gone to college and they don't know. You might be a first-generation college student. Or you could be like me. I was 40 years old before I even had dealing with college and no clue how to deal with it. None at all. So, not that I got taken. I mean, I knew I was going to have to take out loans. That I knew. I didn't know what the repercussions were going to be or how it was going to kind of affect my life. And that's okay too. Buyer beware, right? So I came up with, first I want to tell you this because I think this is cool. 2 facts real quick. First, did you know at one time you had to pay to go to high school? I mean, we're talking a couple hundred years ago, but there was a point in life where high school was not free. It was like college. You had to pay for it. What they found was a majority of people weren't going to high school. So at first the federal government paid for everybody to go to high school, and then states and then local and counties and stuff like that started pitching in small amounts to where now it's primarily the city you live in that pays for the high school, but they get funding from the state and from federal government. That was one thing. So there's another reason why I know college could be free. If we could do it with high school, college should be cakewalk. The other thing was the cost of college. Do you know it has gone up 17% in the last 5 years? And I'm not sure why. That'll be something I need to look up. But 17%, 5 years. That's mighty fast. It's a lot of money, mighty fast. All right, so that being said, those 2 things. I was talking about a cost and what I think could be the best plan if you're younger. I'm talking still in high school. Younger to get in college. There's a couple different ways you can do this. If you are 16 years old, even 15, depending on jobs and what state you live in, and you know for sure you want to go to college, that's your gig, and you look at 4 or 5 colleges you want to go to, and you can see what the annual cost to go to that college is. Get a small part-time job, save your money. That'll help pay for the college. Because I'm here to tell you, when I was that young, even if I would have thought about college, I wouldn't have thought about saving money. I'd have been too busy spending the money quicker than I can get it. Save your money. Now, when you go into school, you pay for what you can. You take, and if need be, take out student loans. And then when you take out your loans and you take out, and you get your overage, set that overage aside. Put it in the bank and don't touch it. Every quarter you will receive a check, or semester. You will receive a check. And at that time, you put it in the bank. You buy your books with it and you leave the rest alone. At the end of your 4 years, you take that money you saved and you pay off a majority of your student loans, which will enable your bill to be a whole lot lower and you'll be able to pay it off faster. So you graduate when you're 22. Congratulations. You made it through college. Did your 4 years degree, 4 years, you got a bachelor's degree. Don't move out right away. I know you want to. I know it's killing you. You'll want to move out, but don't. Instead, live at home unless your home life is horrible and you got to go. Live at home with mom and dad 2 to 3 years. Start your career with whatever business you want to, whatever it is you got your degree in, start it. That gives you time to not have to pay all of this stuff. You can focus on maybe making double payments on that student loan for 2 to 3 years after you've already paid off a big chunk of it with your overage money, or a chunk of it at any rate. May not be a huge chunk, but a chunk. You take 2 or 3 years more of living at home, which puts you there till you're 24, 25, which still isn't horrible. I know you think you're an adult, but you're not quite there yet. But you pay that off, or damn near off, and you've managed to save a little money in the process. You just have to hold on a little longer. And then once that's paid off, damn near paid off, and you've got a little bit of money saved, move out into the real world. Then go get your apartment. Then go get whatever. That will be almost $400 a month you don't have to save, or you don't have to spend out. You can save it while you live in your apartment or whatever. And you still have your good paying job. And by then you're probably making more money because it's been a few years, and you've got a better leg up. That's my best solution for that, on how to pay it back, going forward, and not being in a rut, or having to put it in forbearance forever, or hoping and praying that the government's just going to forgive your loan. I know there was a time that if you paid your loan solid for 10 years, did not miss a payment, they were always on time, they would forgive the rest of your loan. So it's not like we haven't been doing student loan forgiveness. This is just the first time we've brought it up in conversation, so to speak. And I think it's got a lot of people miffed. Remember, if they forgave everybody's loans tomorrow, that still have loans. I'm talking about people who've already paid their loans off but still have loans. It's not money missed because we've already spent it. It would be like buying a new lawnmower, using it for a couple years, and then getting rid of it or giving it to your neighbor, because they need a lawnmower. It's not money lost because you've already got your use out of it. It already did its job. So you're not losing anything out of it. You're just going to do something else. That's all. So you got to keep that in mind also. But anyhow. All right, that's my thoughts and opinions on what you should do to get yourself out of college debt if you're young. I still haven't quite figured out what to do if you're in college debt with a family and you're older, and you're just trying to better your life, but I'm working on that. If you have any ideas, thoughts, or opinions, though, let me know. I would love to share them with everybody else. And like I said, this is something I'm still working on in my head. We may revisit on a later date, or if you have an opinion, let me know. I would love to share, and I would be very interested. I love problem solving as a team. So that is my thoughts on colleges. And tomorrow for cooking dinner with me, we'll cook together, or you can go ahead and watch it later and cook a different day. But I am going to make a slow cooker chicken dish. I can't remember what all is in it. I've never had it before. But the recipe I got is from a site called All Recipes. They've got some really good recipe ideas, thousands of recipe ideas. I've used a handful of them, and that it has not let me down yet. So we're going to try this one. It's a chicken slow cooker recipe, but I don't remember what all's in it. I just remember it sounded good. Thursday, we'll do for water changes. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet, or we're going to head for there. We may not even talk fish Thursday, and we may talk a little bit about some canning stuff. But then either Friday or Saturday, hopefully, as long as my Mexican oregano comes in for this dish I'm wanting to can, we're going to do a Chipotle chili, canning Chipotle chili. I'll walk through the recipe with it. Like this one will be new also, but we'll walk through the recipe with it and how to can it, and hopefully that turns out well. Like I said, that one is all depending on if my spices come in time. I had to order them online. So it could tentatively be tomorrow we cook together, Thursday we talk about fish, and then that Friday, Saturday will either be canning Chipotle chili, or I really want to go over some rules and equipment that you use with canning. Canning it's an important tool to have in your tool house, or in your tool shop. It helps you down the line. It can save you money. It can help you be prepared. There's just too many benefits to being able to can your own food and getting it prepared for when a time when you may not be able to get to the grocery store, or something may come. Zombies could attack tomorrow and you'll need food in your house. All right, that's the tentative schedule for this week coming up. And it's always subject to change. You never know. But that's how I'm looking so far. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. I love you guys very much. Tell somebody else you love them, and it will make their day a little better. I guarantee it. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.